Alright then, Mike McCready, Stone Gossard, Pearl Jam, and Animal from Versus. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial, and the opening riff to this one and the riff that we're playing all throughout this track goes a little something like this. And then we're into the first verse. So we're just riding along on an open A string like 6 times. Kind of like that. Ba-na-na-na-na-na, right? And then we're into that. So we're going to grab the 7 of the D string, and then we're going to go 6, 5 of the A, and then pull that off to open A. Kind of like that. And then we're going to repeat that 8 times. Right? You get the point, right? 8 times you're going to repeat that at the beginning of this track. And we're going to come back to that riff a number of times throughout this track. The final time, the 8th and final time you play through that before dropping into the first verse, we're going to do this. We're going to drop into that. So we're going to go 6 of the A, 8, 7, 5, 7 of the low E. Kind of like that, right? And then incidentally, before dropping down into a 3-finger D power chord, you're just going to kind of catch the open strings, maybe open D, open A together, right? Just kind of incidentally before dropping into a D power chord. Right? Then you're going to hit that D power chord like 5 or 6 times. Ba-na-na-na-na. 5 times to be exact, just down, up, down, right? And slide out of it. Kind of like that. That's the verse, and you're going to repeat that twice. However, the second time you're going to slide into that D from a C. Kind of like that, right? And then right back to the riff for 2 repeats. And then back to this again. And then we're into the pre-chorus, which is just the riff 4 times. And then we drop into the chorus. Now, underneath that riff at this point, I guess which we can call the pre-chorus, right? You can hear some chord changes going on underneath it, but it's actually the bass that's kind of carrying the melody here, going from A, C, D, to G, right? But that's actually the bass that's kind of carrying the melody while the guitars are just playing the riff. And then we're into the chorus, which is just this. 4 bars of alternate picking a palm muted open A string. Right? I'd rather be with an animal. Right? Just palm muted open A string. And Mike McCready is doing this. On the 14th fret of the G string. Bop, bop, bop. And then just mutes, right? And that's what's going on during the chorus, and 4 bars of each, right? 4 bars of this, and 4 bars of this. Right? You can kind of maybe combine those, right? Right? Skip over the D string. It's not easy. Possible. You know, if you're playing this on one guitar. Now, at this point, one guitar is going to drop back into the main riff again. Kind of like that, right? While the other guitar, Stone Gossard, I believe, is going to join the bass with that A to C to D to G. with power chords, right? D into G, and then back to the riff. Right, for 4 repeats. Now you can combine the two of those together, right? If you're going to play this on one guitar, where one guitar is just playing the riff and the other is playing those power chords, kind of like this. A, C, D, G, and then back to the riff, right? So you can combine the two of them into one, right? By just adding that lick. Back to the riff. 4 times. Into the next verse. Same as the first. Into the next pre-chorus. 4 more times, right? Get a little bit quieter. Back into that again. This time the chorus is twice as long. We're going to repeat this for 8 bars. Just that palm muted open A string back and forth, right? And that drops into the guitar solo by Mike McCready. Just fantastic guitar solo by Mike McCready on this one. And I'm going to run through it at a fairly relaxed pace here, and then we'll dig into how to play it. There's the main solo, which we're going to have a look at first, and then he keeps on soloing underneath the vocals, right? And we're going to have a look at that as well. It goes a little something like this at a fairly relaxed pace. That is the solo to Animal right there. So there is the main solo first, right? And then he just keeps on soloing underneath the vocals. So I'm going to show you all of it. So we're starting up here, A minor pentatonic for the most part here. We're starting on the 20th fret of the B string. Full step bend, lots of vibrato, right? And we're going to repeat that 3 times with little variations, right? So full step bend on the 20. Then you're going to bend release it off to 17, and then you're going to grab the 20 of the high E and give that a full step bend release, right? Now, before repeating, you're going to go 17 of the high E onto 20 of the B, and then you repeat, right? Now, the second time you repeat it, you're going to do this. You're going to go 17 on to 20 of the B, but then you're going to go off to 17 of the B very briefly, right, before repeating. And then the final time, you just give that 20 a bend release and grab the 17 of the high E and slide out of it. So that's that whole little section there. Right into this. So, we're starting with a bend on the 7 of the G, down to the 5 of the high E, 8 off to 5 of the B, back onto that 7 of the G for a little bend release, and then just back and forth twice from the 5 of the G onto the 7 of the D. Right, and then finish with this. 5, 7 of the D, down to 5 of the G, finish on the 7 of the D. Right? Right, and if you catch little double stops there on those 5s, great, sounds fantastic. Kind of like that, right? From the beginning. right, into this, which we're going to repeat twice. So we're sliding into a little double stop here on the 9 of the G, 8 of the B. We're going to downstroke this about 8 times. Kind of like that, right? Off to that right there. Double stop on the 5s, G and B, bouncing off the 7 of the D twice, and finishing on that 7 of the D, right? And repeat. And then we finish the main solo with this. So, open E, 3, 4, 5, all hammer-ons. You're only picking the first note. Down to 3 of the A, back to the 5 of the low E. Then you're going to grab the 3 of the A onto 5, slide it into 7. Right, that's about the first third of it. Into this, hammering on very quickly 5, 6, 7 of the D, roll it down. If you catch a little double stop on the 7s, G and B, great. Roll it back up to the 7 of the D, onto a double stop on the 5s, G and B, a little waggle, right? If you catch single note, fine, sounds great. Into this. So just a little scale run, starting on the 7 of the D, off to 5, up to 7 of the A, back to the 5 of the D, and then chromatically 7, 6, 5, 3 of the A, right, and then we're going to go 5, 3, 5, little bend to that 5, full step bend, right, off to open A to finish the main solo. Right, so from the beginning of this main solo, nice and slow. Right, and then he's gonna keep on soloing. Starting with that scale run right there, right down the pentatonic, starting on the 15 of the A. So 15, 17, 15, 17 into 19, 17, 19. And as he gets going, he's not picking every note. It becomes pull-offs, hammer-ons, right? But the first couple of notes he's picking. And then it drops into that, right? So he's picked like the first 5 or 6 notes, and then he starts doing pull-offs and hammer-ons. Pretty much he's only picking the note on the 17, right? And when you finally get down to the 20 of the high E, you pull it off to 17, grab the 20 of the B, back to the 17, into a full step bend on that 20, and then release it, right? Right, and that is the quick little scale run that he does. Right, leads into this. So we're on the 10 of the high E, release it off to 8, and then bounce off the 10 of the B twice. Just a little back and forth, right? Into this, grab the 9 of the G down to the 8 of the B, and then pull 10 back off to 8. Kind of like that, right? And then we're going to grab the 9 of the G down to the 8 of the B with triple hits twice. And then finally hammer back onto 10 and pick that 2 or 3 times. Kind of like that, right? Into this. And we're going to repeat that twice in two different positions. So a little double stop here on the 17s, G and B, double hit, right? Bounce off the 19 of the D, and you repeat that 3 times. However, the third time you hit that double stop, you're only going to hit it once. Kind of like that, right? And then the third time, a little waggle, right, if you can. And then finish that lick with 19 off to 17, slide out of it. Right, and then back it up an octave and do the exact same thing, 5s now of the G and B. And then finish 7 off to 5 of the D, right? Same lick, right? And then we're into this. So we're on the 8 of the B string coming out of this. Right, we're into the 8 of the B, full step bend. Into that lick right there, coming out of that bend, you're going to go down to the 5 of the high E. Go up the pentatonic, 8 off to 5 of the B, onto 7 of the G, back to the 5 of the B, and then 7 off to 5 of the G. Right, kind of like that. Into this very quick little lick. So we're bending the 7 of the G, riding down the 5s, B and high E, pulling 8 off to 5 of the B, dropping onto the blue note here on the 8 of the G, right, back to the 5 of the B, and then 8, 7, 5 of the G. Kind of like that. Right? And then we finish the solo with this. Again, another little descending scale run, starting with a slide into 7 of the D. And when you get to the A string, chromatically 7, 6, 5, 3. And then a little back and forth, 3, 5, 3, back onto 5, slide it into 7. Right, and that is that solo, the solo underneath the vocals, right? Right, and putting it all together nice and slow. And that is how you play that guitar solo. And coming out of that, we just drop into the main riff, 1 repeat. And at the end of the track, we're just going to finish with quarter note open A strings for about 8 bars. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the final 2 bars, you just slide it into the A note at the 12th fret, and then slide out of it. And there you go. That is how you play Animal by Pearl Jam. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you, and we will see you next time. Cheers.